Alabama Bass Nation, welcome to the Spotlight. This is Chris Tate, and today's guest, Aaron Cherry, high school angler, and what an amazing record you have, Aaron, and welcome to the Spotlight.
Thank you, sir.
So, first of all, I know there's a lot of fans out there probably, they're going to have that last name recognition. Are you related to Hank Cherry in any way?
No, sir, I'm not.
Okay. So, you know, I know that you've had a busy fall this year, and man, you've done a miraculous job. But you know, there's a lot of people out there in the Bass Nation who really don't know who Aaron Cherry is. So, you know, tell me a little bit about yourself, your long-term goals, and how you want to achieve those goals.
I'm just an avid outdoorsman. I really like to fish, and short-term goals, I just really want to finish out this high school year really strong and hopefully carry that over to college where I can hopefully be able to compete and go against those anglers in that division.
Okay, so you know, when you're not fishing, what do you do? Well, what's your hobbies?
Really just an outdoorsman. I like hunting, fishing, video games sometimes, I guess. It really depends on how bored I am.
Okay, no problem. Well, you know, one of the recent things, just a couple weeks ago, you signed a scholarship with Montevallo, University of Montevallo Falcons,
yes, sir.
To fish there full-time on scholarship. So, you know, tell me what that means to you, and you know how you're going to achieve that next level. Because you know, we'll go over here your stats in a few minutes, but tremendous stats. I mean, if I looked at that, I mean, it's like an elite angler almost for a high school. So, you know, tell me about your transition into the college ranks.
I think that the scholarship at Montevallo was something that we were looking forward to whenever I started in 7th grade, and for it to come through and actually be able to go to a program that's one of the top tier places in college right now for fishing is really amazing. I don't know how to really put it in words besides amazing. It's just an opportunity that I hope I don't, you know, let go to waste, you know.
I understand. So, what's your intent and what are you going to major in Montevallo?
I'm still undecided.
You're still undecided.
Yes,
okay, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, get your core subjects out of the way, then you can actually decide. So, you know, let's talk about your stats. You know, I look over here, Bassmaster High School Classic Champion, Bassmaster High School Champion. You just fished the Bass Nation where you were looking for a berth to a classic.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, I want you to think about all the events that you've been in and tell me which event is the most memorable and why.
Most memorable event? I think the most memorable is probably the high school Bassmaster Championship, because just the atmosphere around that place was totally different than anything that I ever could imagine, really. And it was the same at the nation championship, but it was a different arena, a different aspect, you know, because you're sitting there on the stage that the elites were walking across, and it was crazy. I think that it was the most intense day of fishing that I ever had. We had 2 bites right there at the end of the day, 2 4-pounders that we caught back to back that really cinched it, and you know, going across the stage in general, thinking you can win, but in that persona, I guess you would say, is just crazy.
Okay, so you know, there's a lot of folks out there that, because you fish the adult division, correct?
Yes, sir.
So tell the folks out there that are viewing how you got the opportunity to fish the Bass Nation Championship and a possible classic berth.
I started out at Lay Lake. I finished 2nd place in my first ever tournament as a co-boater, which qualified me for the state championship at Eufaula. And fished with a buddy, Peyton McCord. He's a really good friend. I actually fished with him my 1st and 2nd year on the high school bass team at Headland, and finished 1st in the co-boater at Eufaula for the state championship, which qualified me for the regionals, which is at Lake Guntersville, and ended up finishing 4th at the regional overall and 1st in the state of Alabama, which the 1st in the state, which qualified me for the national championship.
It's amazing. I mean, you had a nice journey. So tell me what it's like for, you're 17 years old, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What's it like for a 17-year-old to be actually trying to compete for a classic berth? I mean, you had to be one of the youngest anglers, if not the youngest anglers, to try to actually compete for that.
It was definitely something to look at, because I think there was one more 17-year-old, but he was a few months older than I was. It was different being in a room full of people that have been going after and striding for it for a long time, which gives you that sense of like, relief, I guess you would say, because you know that you always have more chances to come back and do it again, because there was an 82-year-old man that was there, and he was still he didn't have any legs. He was a veteran, and he really touched, I think, everybody out there. My dad especially, he crawled across the stage that day, and just seeing him out there just putting his time and effort on the water really gives you a sense of just security, I guess you would say, with being there. Even at 17 years old, it was just an amazing experience.
That's awesome. So, you know, if an individual in the Bass Nation ever got the opportunity to be in that position that you were in and fishing the Classic, what advice would you give that person?
Which Classic?
The Bass Nation Championship, when you're fishing for a Classic berth.
I think one of the biggest things is just to put your head down and fish. There was no reason to feel any different. It was a tournament that you want to go in with the mindset that you want to win. So as long as you keep your head down and stay humble, you should be right there with them.
You had no nerves or anxiety or, you know?
Yeah, it happens. I think the same for really every tournament. There's just calm down and fish. You have anxiety, I think, before every time you put the boat in the water, especially in big tournaments like that, but it all wears off right after that first cast for me.
Okay. So, you know, what valuable lessons did you learn from, I mean, fishing the Bass Nation Championships or, you know, the Bassmaster High School? What lessons have you learned, whether personal or, you know, professional in fishing?
I think one thing personally is the amount of amazing people that you can meet. 𝐂𝐴_𝐳, who is the guy from Alabama, was really amazing. He's a really good guy, and I'd like to go out and fish with him again, but I got to spend a couple days just talking to him and getting to know him, and I think that relationship's going to go on for a long time. So I think the relationships that you get throughout these things is what really makes it special.
Okay. So, you know, you serve, whether you realize it or not, you serve as a role model to a lot of younger kids in the Bass Nation. So, you know, there's a lot of junior anglers, and our sport in high school has really grown, especially in the juniors. What advice would you give to those juniors coming up that are following your footsteps?
First and foremost, you just got to get your head down and stay fishing. Secondly, you stay humble. Don't get a big head about things, because as soon as you do, that's when everything starts falling off the tracks. And third, stay in school, because without an education, you're not going to get anywhere.
No, you're right about that. So another question I have is, let's talk about your fishing skill sets. You know, every angler has a strong skill set. What is your go-to method or technique that you use?
If I could do anything, it'd definitely be top water.
Top water?
Yes, sir.
So if you had a weakness, what would that be, and how do you, you know, plan on correcting that in the future when you know, transition into college?
I think a weakness would probably be slowing down enough on tough days to catch fish. It's really hard for me just to shut down, but I think everybody has trouble just going completely still pretty much.
Okay. So, you know, let's talk about some more fishing skill sets. Electronics. You know, today's kids are raised with electronics, you know, versus where, you know, the old timers, they had the old flashers.
Yeah.
So, you know, how confident are you in today's, you know, electronics and, you know, and transitioning over into the college?
My skill level is okay. I'm not the best. I think I learn every time I go out there, but just having the ability to read those would absolutely change the whole way that you go out to a lake and fish.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing learning was this past year on Eufaula, just scanning for fish on ledges and stuff, which helped me get a mentality that I could actually do it and be successful at it.
Okay. So now let's talk about the industry and the tournament series. You know, we have the Bass Nation, you have the MLF that just acquired FLW, and then there's actually another tournament series that's going to supposedly be developing in 2021. So what I guess my point is that for anglers like you that are going to go to college and then transition and possibly make a professional career out of it, there seems to be plenty of room. So my question is what would you prefer? Do you prefer that like an MLF style, or do you prefer a Bass style, or you even really thought about it?
I think my favorite is definitely the 5-fish style. It puts the wheel test to being able to go out there and catch 5 big fish instead of just going out there and trying to catch as many as possible. To me, I think it's more challenging. You get to actually break down a water system instead of just picking it for what it's worth, I guess.
Okay. So now your parents have been big supporters of Aaron Cherry.
Yes,
You know, what has that meant to you? And I'm trying to, you know, have you convey to other fishermen, you know, what that commitment to the parents have meant to you, and naturally as you transition into college, I mean, you're getting a scholarship to go to college. So, you know, what's that really meant to you as a person, and your parents being that supportive of you?
I think without my parents' support, I wouldn't even be sitting here right now. Starting out, I mean, 7th grade, I was sitting there telling my dad I wanted to go join a bass team, and we had no idea what that even was. And so we went to the first meeting, and we joined the bass team and bought a boat. He did, not me. I joined the team, he bought the boat. But we came into this not really knowing anything, but they supported me wholeheartedly and all the way up to this point, and it's just been a really amazing experience, and without them, it wouldn't have been possible.
Okay. So when you're transitioning from high school, because your last event will be sometime in 2020, mid 2020,
Yes, sir.
late 2020, what do you think is going to be the biggest obstacle or the biggest thing you're going to have to get used to transitioning into college fishing?
Probably keeping up with everything myself, because, you know, back home you have your parents there to help you with everything. But, I mean, I guess keeping everything organized would be a big thing with me, because I'm not the best organizer in the world. I just get things to a point that it's okay. It's like with the boat and everything, just keeping up with the boat.
I understand. So, you know, we're going to conclude this segment. Do you have any last final words that you want people to know, or any message you want to convey to the Alabama Bass Nation?
Alabama Bass Nation is probably the best decision I think our team has made to be able to fish for all these high school anglers, because it really gets their name out there further than any other trail in high school.
Okay, well, thank you, Aaron, and I appreciate it, and I wish you the best success in your 2020 high school year, and then transitioning into the college ranks and programs. So thank you very much, and I appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Alabama Bass Nation. On this segment, I got Aaron Cherry and Hudson and Choquette. These are the dynamic duo of Headland Bass Team. So, Hudson, I want to start my first question with you. You know, what are your dreams and aspirations, that you want to do in life? And, you want to go to college, or, what do you want to do?
Yes, sir. I hope to get a scholarship in college and have a great education to fall back on if that does not work out of pro fishing.
Okay. So, one of my questions, Hudson, is you guys have been together how long as a team?
This is be your second year.
This will be your second year. And so, Aaron, let me ask you, what advantages or disadvantages that you guys have together as a team? Because you guys are like a dynamic duo.
Yes, sir. I think one of the advantages that we have is we can both fish the same but separate at the same time, if that makes sense. We can both slow down, but we can also, one of us slow down and the other person be moving fast. We're really quick to decide who does what. It's whoever has the feeling in that tournament. Like, in instance, Tuscaloosa, I think I was on the back throwing a swim bait to start off with, and he was up front throwing a whopper plop. We were both moving fast, and he slowed down to shaky head. It was a shaky head where he caught that big largemouth. It's just the mentality of both of us are really close together, so it makes it a really good team.
Okay. So Hudson, you're what, 15?
Yes, sir.
So you got a couple more years left, right?
Yes,
and so Aaron's going to be transitioning to college. So tell me, what is your future plans to find a partner, and how do you plan to make that transition, to a new partner in the coming year? It'll be, what, 2021?
Yes, sir. I've been thinking about it and deciding on who I'd like to be with, but who I choose will have great success.
Okay. So, is it going to be difficult to replace Aaron as a partner? I mean, you guys have been together for a long time, and you guys won a lot of awards and a lot of first places. You guys had a lot of success as a team.
Oh yes, sir. It'll be difficult seeing them go to college and have great success over there, but hopefully we can try to repeat with whoever I have chosen, and we'll try to get after it.
So Aaron, Hudson said he'd like to go to college. Any possibility you kind of maybe see him following your footsteps, going to Montevallo maybe, and reconnecting as a partner in the future?
I think there could be a possibility, yes, sir.
So okay, it may be the underlying plan. So the dynamic duo maybe just be separated for a little bit.
A short time.
Short time. They could come back together. Is that correct?
Could be.
So, and we would love to see that on the college circuit. I mean, you guys would be a powerhouse on the college circuit, I believe. Yeah. So, Hudson, what you coming up? I mean, you guys, what, 4? You just coming off a fourth consecutive win, I believe.
Third.
Is that correct?
3 in a row.
Yes.
So, yeah, you had 3 in a row. Okay. And so, what are you seeing for the future, starting next year?
Oh, I see hopefully a couple more wins in the future and better weather conditions at the certain lakes that we go to. Okay. And hopefully some great success.
Okay. So, Aaron, I mean, it's got to be hard, bittersweet to leave your partner in a way. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that you've kind of learned from Hudson that you're going to take on to the college level?
Yeah, shallow water fishing, definitely. They're from Louisiana, so they're used to being on the banks, beating the banks and everything like that. So if it comes down to it, and learn a lot from them just being up shallow and just flipping.
Okay. So, all right. So I want to ask each of you, who do you have as a role model in the fishing industry?
I think I have multiple different people I look up to, but one person that I aspire to be is Mark Rose. He has a really strong faith and has a really strong background in his family and everything. It's just really supportive, and it's also a great fisherman, so it's just something that, I'd like to be in the future.
I understand. So Hudson, who's your role model?
I have a couple of role models, mm-hmm. but the one that I look up to the most is probably Zach Burge. I've been able to contact and get in touch with him and fish tournaments with him and learn many things, and that's who I look up to the most.
Well, I'm going to ask this last question before we close this segment out. Each of you, think about your as a team. What advice would you give other teams in the Bass Nation on your success, or what could they do to be better?
The biggest thing is being able to connect. If y'all can connect on and off the water, that is a tremendous way to get along and be able on the boat and have a great time.
Mm-hmm. So Aaron, what would be your advice?
I think time on the water. Just being out there as much as you possibly can. If you can't drive, just walk to a pond if you have one close enough. I know I used to drive our mule that we have like 3 miles down the road to a pond before I could drive. So just being out there on the water is probably the biggest thing to me.
Okay. And I do have one last question. I know you've had great success throughout your career, but you've had multiple partners other than Hudson, because you're only 2 years. So, tell me, Aaron, tell me about your other partners, because from what I know is you fish with females, males, so it's not really a specific partner. Sometimes it's just your attitude and the ability to get along. So you want to tell me about your last partners that you've had in the past?
Yes, sir. It started out my 7th and 8th grade year fishing with Peyton McCord, which is probably one of the biggest mentors that I've had so far throughout the career that I've had. He's actually an Auburn fisherman right now. I think that to me, he's probably a role model that you look up to as a high school angler, because everybody wants to be able to compete in college. And the second partner that I had was my 9th and 10th grade year was Gracie Herbold, and we ended up, we finished second at national championship, the high school national championship at Kentucky Lake, which qualified us for the Bassmasters Classic, the high school side of the Classic. And we ended up winning that in Tennessee, wasn't it? Yeah. It was in Tennessee. Ended up winning in Tennessee that Classic, which was a really big deal. And now on to Hudson, which is another really good partnership that I think will be hard to go on and move on to college and try to find someone else to pair with. But we just got to finish the season and see how it goes.
I understand. Well, like I said, I want to wish Hudson and Aaron, both of you, the best of luck up the 2020 season. And I know I want to see great things next year from you, and I appreciate your time and appreciate you guys being on the spotlight.
Thank you.
Hey guys, we've been working, now with Daiwa developing technique-specific 𝐂𝐴TLA Elite rods, and now we're doing the 𝐂𝐴TLA Elite reels. This is a technique-specific P and F reel, which is pitch and flip reel. So this reel is just right to pitch and flip in heavy cover, and that's why we wanted a reel like this. And what makes it so amazing, among many things, aluminum frame and side plate, but it's this big 100mm handle with this EVA big power knob. So when you pitch in that heavy cover, a lot of times you set the hook and try to get fish out of grass and your hand slips off a reel handle. That's the biggest way you can get slack and lose a fish. But with this big power handle, you're able to hammer down. When you set that hook, boom, and you got that big knob in your hand, you can pull them out of that cover really good. High speed retrieve, like I say, no flex because the aluminum frame and side plate, heavy duty drag. So this is the reel. P and F, if you're a pitch and flip guy, you got to get this 𝐂𝐴TLA Elite pitch and flip reel.
Hello Bass Nation, I'm here with the Headland coach, Coach Grandstaff. Coach Grandstaff, welcome to the spotlight. I want to thank you for coming, and I want to talk to you about coaching. A lot of people think coach like Nick Saban, they're out there doing drills. So tell me what you do to prepare your team, because you have one of the most successful teams in the Bass Nation. So tell me what you do.
We do. It started years ago when the team was formed with Gina Burnshaw and Jeffrey McCord. They really based it off of a family, and that's been my drive to keep it and get it back to being a family atmosphere. We think that's important to each one of the kids, to have somebody to lean on, not just during the tournament season, but even after, through the walks of life, that they've gathered that bond through the high school fishing.
Okay. So when you're out there with your team and you're strategizing for a tournament, what techniques can you pass on to maybe parents or other coaches on your success at Headland?
Well, each week, I guess, or each month, we have a monthly meeting, and we do a preview and a review of each tournament. So we'll talk about the tournaments that have passed us and what worked, what didn't work, trying to help the younger anglers, the younger boat captains understand what's going on, and also the previews of what's coming up, and try to let them understand what could be happening on a certain lake. We also take the junior anglers at the beginning of the year out with the senior anglers or the older anglers, and try to make sure they have the techniques and the necessary skills that they're going to need to catch fish throughout the year. And we also do that with the boat captains. We try to pair up the boat captains or senior boat captains, one that's been here for a while, with the new junior boat captains, and talk them through that, because we want everybody to be successful. When my daughter started, we were a very, very young team, and now you see most of our people are a little bit older now, and the success of what we built has actually fruitioned.
Okay. So, as coach, you're a mentor, instructor, you're organizer. To have somebody like Aaron Cherry that's going to be leaving your team, is that a sense of pride, the accomplishment that you have to see a young gentleman that's transitioned, going to college, and who knows what kind of career he's going to have?
Sure. I remember when he got in, I was one of the first ones he contacted, and I came over that afternoon, and I gave him baits and gave him rods, and I was the first one that really taught him through that process of fishing, and then to walk through it and see him actually get a scholarship. I reached out to his parents the other day, and they don't like to talk about that too much, about Aaron, his team, but understanding there's probably not anybody that's ever fished high school sports that has as many awards as what he has. There's not too many awards that he hasn't won. We understand that's through teammates that he's had, but it's also the skill set that which he has, and he's always stayed humble through it, which is very important, and that comes from his family, of staying grounded through your faith, even though that you do seek success, that you don't, gloat in that success.
Okay, Coach. So my next subject, or last subject I want to talk about, is diversity. I see more and more females on high school teams, and I know you've had some females. I think you have some females on your team. So, speak to that, and, because there might be a young individual female out there who's wanting to do this. What encouragement or what tips can you provide that person?
Well, it's funny that one of the things about bass fishing is the fish has no clue if you're a man or woman standing on the deck. It's not like football analogy that you used a minute ago, or baseball. whether they be faster or stronger, that kind of thing. That does not happen in the skill set of bass fishing. Anybody, you can teach them to throw a rod. It don't matter how strong you are, that kind of thing. A lot of times in this bass fishing, as Aaron alluded to a minute ago, they are more patient. They can slow down. Guys are a little more driven and faster. So in some situations, they can excel in this sport. So if you're interested in the bass fishing, male or female, this is definitely a sport to get involved with.
Okay, Coach. Well, let's close out this segment, and I want you to do any last thoughts or comments that you would have for the Bass Nation, whether, you know, as a coach or advice to a parent that you want to give?
If I was giving advice to a parent looking to get involved, jump in with both feet. It is the funnest thing we've been involved with. The family, the friendships that we've met all across all other schools, that you compete against them during the day, but once you come off the water, I mean, your friends, they want to see you do well as them, and it's fun to see that. It's fun to have those relationships, but jump in with both feet. Get involved 100% because it does take a lot of your time up.
Okay, Coach Manstep. Well, I want to thank you for joining us on the Spotlight, and I want to wish you and your Headland Bass team full success in 2020, and I know you guys are going to do great next season, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. We're looking forward to it.
Hey, Bass Nation. Welcome to the Spotlight. On this edition, I have Jason Cherry and Angela Cherry, Aaron's mom and dad. So, hey, Mom and Dad, welcome to the Spotlight.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, my first question is for Angela. You take me back when Aaron was a child and he probably got the fishing bug. Did you ever expect or imagine to see your child, go through the ranks of the Bass Nation, transition to the college at a scholarship, and then, virtually, possibility of having a professional career in the future?
Yeah, I had no idea.
You had no?
I mean, no. I mean, that was not even a consideration at the time. He's always loved the water. And I can distinctly remember the first time he went out on the water. Jason and I went, he spent the night away to go, because they always stayed the night before pre-fishing. And we show up at the ramp, we see him leave, and then we look at each other and we were like, what do we do now? And several hours later they come back and we're weighing in fish, and he brings in his first fish. And literally from that moment, Aaron was hooked, and we were as well, because to see the joy in his face and to watch him hold that fish, I mean, it was just, who knew that you could get that excited about a fish? And I mean, it's been pure joy to watch.
Okay. So Jason, my question to you, you've been a big supporter of Aaron, and then I know, Angela, both of you have. How much pride and, joy has the Bass Nation, or just any of the tournament fishing series period brought to you and your wife?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a total family affair. Our family is sold out for fishing.
Yeah.
I mean, as Aaron said earlier, we went to the meeting because he wanted to look at this bass team and join in it. And he'd always played the big three sports, the football, the baseball, and basketball. Never knew that the sport of bass fishing was even out there. We went to that meeting, and it was at a bank, and they repoed a boat. So we ended up joining the bass team and bought the boat that same night while I was there at the bank. So went back the next day and bought it. But it's a great experience for him, our family, the people he's met, the people we've met through friendships and family that we'll have for the rest of our lives. I'm not done just because it's his senior year. I want to stay on helping with the Alabama B.A.S.S Nation and helping these kids and mentoring these kids and everything else. So, with the Headland Bass team. And
that's awesome, and that's very admirable to you to do that. But I think you're going to be busy there traveling some college events here in the future.
Right, we are going to support those too. So we're going to work out that with helping too. So
okay, so when you look back, Angela, what do you think is your most memorable tournament that you've seen Aaron win or compete in? It doesn't necessarily have to be a win.
The most memorable for me at this moment would be the regionals. And I can say that was the first time that he was on the water with someone we didn't know. Okay, and for me as a mom, I had people praying for him, praying for me, praying for Jason, because I was nervous, because he's 17 years old and he was getting on the water with grown men from other states, Nebraska, Michigan, and Minnesota.
Yeah.
And he didn't know him, and they could have very well just snubbed at him or not had respect for him because he was a kid. And I even questioned Jason. I said, are we doing the right thing? And he said, yeah, Aaron can hold his own. And I knew he could, and I knew he needed to grow. And that was absolutely the best way to do it. And to watch him those 3 days with those men, and the way they came back and spoke about Aaron, and the pride that they had even in him, and watching him when we went to the championship. I had the guys that he fished with, one of them came and sat with me whenever he was weighing in, and he's like, that kid's awesome. And the guys that he fished with, up there, they were saying the same thing, just what an upstanding kid he is. And that's the one thing as a parent you always want to hear, is that your kids are respectful to others, And so to have him come in with these guys, at the regionals, and the things that they had to say, and then to see the joy in his face that he did it on his own. Because every other tournament, he had a partner. And those were the first times that he was on the water by himself with somebody he didn't know. And he was learning a new way to fish or a different style or something, and he did it. And the last day of that 3-day tournament, when he came in, and Jason had already left because we had a high school tournament the next day, and Jason had promised a boat captain, and I knew as soon as I saw his face that he had a good day. I didn't know how great. And I sent Jason a message. I'm like, this is going to be good. And it was absolutely amazing. We watched him sit in the hot seat, and I mean, if he'd have come in and zeroed, just the way he represented himself, our family, the state of Alabama, I was extremely proud of it.
Well, I can see you kind of getting a little emotional,
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, so, I can tell that you have great love for Aaron and what he's done and what he's accomplished. And I really admire that, because I can see it in your eyes, and I can see just little tears in there.
Oh, yeah.
So
Dad's too,
she's pride. I mean,
Yeah, Dad too,
well, Jason, you think about it, 10, 15 years ago, fishing scholarship wasn't really
It's
possible.
unheard of.
Exactly.
I mean, people my age says, man, I wish I'd had that when I was in school.
Absolutely.
I say it every day.
Absolutely.
So,
Well, and our daughter, I can tell you, she has been a competition dance person since she was 5 years old. And it was the funniest thing, and I will never forget that Jason was like, we spend so much money on competition because the costumes, the hotel rooms, and all these different things. But to me, it was memories, and he didn't understand it completely at the time. But then when bass fishing came along, there is not even a drop in the bucket the amount of money that we've spent on bass fishing compared to competition dance. But the memories that we made with our children through both of them, you can't put a price tag on that.
It's priceless.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I would spend it a
lifelong.
million times over because of those experiences.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, Jason, my question, what do you think are some challenges, being a parent and, probably a boat captain?
Right.
What advice can you give other parents in your position as a father, a boat captain, or, a mentor that they could benefit from?
right. I think in order for the kids, whether it be Aaron or anybody else, to be successful at the next level, a lot of people think high school fishing is a lot about boat captains. In some cases, it is. I'll be upfront and honest with you. In our case, we've made it always not to be about the boat captain. We wanted Aaron and whoever he's fishing with, Hudson at this time, to make those decisions. And when they're on the boat with me and with Mark, which is Hudson's dad, they make the decisions where to go, where to fish, what to fish, how to fish. They do a lot of pre-fishing by themselves. So my thing to parents that are out there or boat captains that are out there, let the kids take control. It will help them in the future, and I think that's a big thing that will help Aaron grow when he goes to college next year, and also any other angler that's out there fishing that wants to do this at the next level, whatever that next level might be, is to be the ones making the calls on the boat and being able to understand electronics and what to fish, when to fish, how to fish, and everything else.
So, Angela, as a mother, you touched on a couple of things, but Well, what advice could you give a mother out there, maybe who has a child just starting out, maybe in the juniors or something of that nature?
One thing unique about our B.A.S.S team, and that I love so much, is we have what we call house moms. Originally, whenever we first started, I mean, we were a very small team, and every tournament we went to, pretty much it was me and, at the time, Aaron's partner Peyton, his mom, and you get to go and you stay in the house with the kids, and whether you're sleeping on an air mattress, on the bed, whatever, but you spend the entire time with them from Thursday to Sunday, and you're preparing meals, you're planning meals, you're doing the shopping, and for me, it was an amazing time, and still is, because I get to shut work away. I get to put everything that distracts you, because by the time I get home from work, most days I'm so tired. You know, it's just different. And those memories that we've made in the house is watching the kids and the way they interact. It's been absolutely amazing, and it's been a joy to see the other kids succeed. And Headland is so special because of that family bond and the time they spend together in the houses. It's unlike anything else that you see, because I mean, it's special. We look for houses, have to make sure it's big enough for 6 boats, have to make sure that the place can park 6 boats, and then that you've got floor space that you can put mattresses on, and that you've got beds for your boat captains, and a lot of planning and logistics go into that. But that's part of what Jason said, investing in your team. And when you invest in your team, you're investing in your child, because that team support means everything. You know, when you support one kid, you're supporting them all. And that's one thing that's very big for both of us. I mean, I love to see my children succeed, but even more, I mean, I love for them to succeed as a team, and for everybody to know that's what it is. There's not one accomplishment other than these adult series that Aaron's done on his own that he's not done with a partner. And I'm very thankful for those partners, for their families, and we wouldn't be here, he wouldn't be here without them. So.
Okay, so here's my last question for both of you. You know, Aaron's going to be transitioning, going to college, and that's not too far of a drive away to go see him. But, you know, what's life going to be like without Aaron at home?
He said it's going to be boring.
Yeah, and it could be boring. But like I said, that's where we're going to try to plug into some of these local tournaments. Wiregrass Student Angler Trail is a big tournament that we're a part of, and then the Alabama B.A.S.S Trail, and help with some of those and keep it going. We don't want Headland B.A.S.S team just to go to the wayside just because Aaron's gone. You know, we've been around it for 5 years, 6 years now, and it's a big part of our life. And we want to see these anglers that are in 7th, 8th, and 9th grade come on and be that next Aaron Cherry, that next Hudson Choquette, and be able to look at them as role models and be able to transition into that. So I think with anything that Aaron's done with any partners, he's learned something from each one of them, and each person, especially with this adult series, he's got on the boat with several different people, and he's learned something different from each and every one of them, whether it be sometimes good, sometimes bad. But you see how different people fish, and you learn something for that. So later on down in his life, when he's up there fishing and this happens, he's like, you know, I fished with that guy from Minnesota that time, and he tried this. Let me try that. So that's a good thing that I think that's a big deal for us and for him and for the B.A.S.S team itself. We don't want it to die. So we want it to continue to grow and even get bigger than what Aaron has been able to do.
That's awesome. So what are you going to miss most, Angela?
The time with Aaron. I mean, it's been a special time, and I mean, we're going to be there to support him in college, no doubt. And that's one thing fun about Montevallo as well. As William said, they actually rent houses and will stay together when they travel. So that's really cool. I mean, they're not going to have house moms. But
Well, you can start one.
yeah, there you go.
They might want to have one.
Yeah.
Use some Aaron's
Yeah, I mean, we're there. I mean, I love being there at lunch. I mean, it's crazy early. I mean, and I'm only seeing him for a few seconds, but getting that picture that may or may not aggravate him, it's something that I'll treasure forever. And being able to get different ones at different times, every event he's been at, is something special to me. And I can't say I'll miss the coldness of every tournament. I think we've had some snow, some chilly mornings and stuff like that. But I mean, it's been an absolute joy. I mean, I know I've said that already, but it's been amazing for our family, and you build family bonds that are unlike anything else because of the atmosphere, and I'm very, very thankful for that.
To me, one of the hardest things with the air and fishing these adults trails, at least when I'm on the boat, is being a boat captain. I know what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
How many fish he has, how big they are, and with these adult tournaments, I don't know nothing until he gets in. So
And I'm like,
he's
welcome
either
to the
smiling,
club.
and I'm like
Yeah.
up or down or in between, and he
So you're
just
sitting on pins and
yeah,
needles there.
yeah. So that day his fishing is just walking back and forth there in the house and
Welcome to
wow,
Mom's life.
yeah. And Angela says, "Welcome to Mom's life." I was like, I can't handle this for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So
Well, I want to commend both of you for raising an amazing son.
thank you.
You know, I this is really from the bottom of my heart. I see something special in Aaron. You know, whether he makes it to the elites or somewhere else, but it's truly something special about him. Just you know, and I know it's just not about fishing, but he is a remarkable young man. I've seen he does a lot of volunteer work and does some mission trips, and so you know, I just want to thank you for raising a great human being and a great son, and I know you're very proud of him.
Thank you. We are very proud.
And I do
Both our
appreciate.
kids.
I know,
Yeah.
and appreciate you guys taking the time being on the spotlight. And thank you very much. And I wish Aaron and you guys great success
Thank you.
in 2020.
Yeah, I hope we see you down the road.
You will.
Yeah.